There is a deer up on the very top. I'm sure it's one of the does that come out up there. About every time you turn around and look up, there'll be a deer up there. That's a little buck. I need to get the binoculars out and look at him. Anyway, he's well up there. And I'm standing here in the front door of the house in my underwear. Because again, I just didn't, it's the second day of the rifle season. I just flat did not feel like getting up and going out. So I'm taking the day off and going to do a how to make cornbread cake video. Anyway, I just got the spot and scope out. Looked at that deer up there. It's about a 6-pointer. We pass on the little buck, but anyway, it's good to see a buck out today. Let me start this off by saying this is the second day of the Virginia rifle deer season. Now, if you look at the post from day one, I didn't get out to my hunting stand, the Quigley out here, until after 15 after 8. By the time I got in, got all the ladybugs cleaned up and settled in, it was 9 o'clock. And in that video, I said, I'm going to have to do better than that. I didn't. Today, it's 10:30. I hadn't even been out of the house. I mean, I didn't get up until, I probably didn't get up until 9 o'clock. I just, some kind of a head cold, a bug or something. Just hadn't felt like getting up. But in that, yesterday I said that I would do a video on how to make cornbread cake. Well, that's what this is going to be about. I don't feel like getting out there in the Quigley, out there in the weather. It's kind of raw out today, so I'm going to be a wuss and stay in the house today. But I still wear out a good pair of boots, walking from door to door to window, looking out. And just a few minutes ago, I looked out and I saw a deer up on top of the hill, and I got the binoculars out, and it looked like a buck. So I got the spot and scope out, and it's I think a 6-point. I didn't, confession, I run outside in my underwear and it's cold to set spot and scope up, and it's a shooter buck if you want it. I mean, I looked at him and I said, he's just not quite big enough. I'll let him go, but he'd be a respectable buck. My camera, for some reason, shut down for a minute. I don't even remember where I was, but anyway, look at that. I wear out a pair of boots going from door to door and window to window, looking out. And I looked out a few minutes ago, and there was a buck up on the hill. And I think he's a 6-pointer. Like I said, I was standing out there in my underwear, and it's just too cold to stay out there very long to get a really good look at him. I just verified, yeah, he is a decent buck. No, he's not big enough that I want to shoot him at this point in the season. I'm not a trophy hunter, and I'm not a meat hunter. Would it be a deer? Would it be an elk? It don't matter what it is. Squirrel, whatever. When I see that critter at that time, I evaluate the situation and I decide whether I want to shoot that deer, that elk, that squirrel on at that particular time and under those particular circumstances. I decide I want it or I don't. For whatever reason, I just evaluate the situation, make up my mind based on what the current situation is. And that buck I just did not want to shoot. So I come back in the house, look back out in about a minute, of course he's gone. Typical out here, if you see a buck, you've got seconds, generally less than a minute. Sometimes he might give you 2 or 3 minutes. But most of the time, you've got less than a minute to make up your mind whether you want to shoot that buck or not. Like I said, they don't live here. They're just passing through. And they spook easy. They're nervous being out in the open. They just, if you want him, you better go ahead and take him. But I didn't want that one, so I let him go. But anyway, while making this video on cornbread cake, in between, what you probably won't see very much of is I'll be hot-footing it from door to door to window to window, keeping a close eye out in case that shooter buck does show up. And I have my Ruger #1 7mm Remington bag standing up by the front door with ammo handy close by. If I see one, I'll, depending on where he is that I want to take, I'll see if I can't get somewhere and get a good solid rest and take him. But anyway, so I'm deer hunting, okay? I am technically deer hunting. And actually, I'm making a cake. Let's get started. I keep this roll-away cart handy. It is full of various things it takes to make the various cakes and pies and puddings and things like that that I like to make. So we'll start here. First thing I got to do is dig out the self-rising flour and my mixing bowl. First thing, we need two cups of self-rising flour. You use whatever your favorite flour is. I use all of them. This just happens to be White Lily. Okay? That's what I'm using, White Lily self-rising. You use whatever you want. And then, come on there. I use about half a teaspoon maybe of salt. So we got 2 cups of self-rising flour, about a teaspoon of salt, 1 cup of white sugar. All right, next, 1 cup of brown sugar, packed. Okay. Now I use a heaping cupful of pecans, and just to make sure that I got enough, I'll put a few more in there. You can't get too many pecans. So now, at this point, we've got our 2 cups of self-rising flour, our half a teaspoon of salt, an even cup of white sugar, a cup of brown sugar, packed, and about a cup of pecans. I like to use the pecan pieces rather than the halves. But anyway, we want to mix this up. These are all of our dry ingredients. Now remember, this is the very basic cornbread cake, which was not my original idea. I actually first saw this recipe on a really excellent YouTube site called Cooking with Shotgun Red. And Miss Sheila was making up this recipe. She said her company liked it and everything. It just sounded like a good, simple recipe, quick put together and all that. So I made it. And of course, I've adjusted it to suit myself. I did start out with her basic idea. And this is pretty much the basic cornbread cake that Miss Sheila made. And shotgun red. And this is the basic one. So I'm getting my dry ingredients all mixed up. Then we'll go over and start getting the wet ingredients ready. I think that's probably good enough for the dry ingredients. Now, like I said, this is basically Miss Sheila's recipe that I've modified quite a bit. She, if I remember right, she used 1.5 cups of flour and 4 eggs. I like to use 2 cups of flour and 6 eggs. So, here goes 6 eggs. Okay. To the eggs, I put I don't know, about that much vanilla flavor. That's maybe close to a teaspoon, maybe. Something similar. Then you get this all whipped up together. Get your eggs really whipped up good. That looks pretty good. Okay. We want to use now one and 1/4 cups of oil. You use whichever one you want. We generally use canola oil. Then you add your eggs. Then you just proceed to mix the daylights out of it. Make sure you get all the dry ingredients incorporated and wetted down good. And I'm using a plastic bowl, but it'll work whether you're using a metal or a glass, either one. But you reach a point when you're mixing it, it starts to combine pretty good, that it sort of begins to stick together and not smear around over your bowl so much. You can tell when you got it mixed up good. Make sure it's thoroughly mixed is all. Okie doke. Now we got to put it into a 9x13 pan. Okay, you want to, this is Baker's Choice. Baker's Choice.
That's wrong. It's empty. It's empty.
That won't hurt nothing.
Empty.
This is that good-looking woman of mine that I kept talking about. Anyway, just set that aside. Now, you just want to pour all your ingredients into that 9x13 bowl or baking dish, whatever you want to call this thing. This is good, so I try to get it all out of this bowl. Just move it around a little bit. And I like to kind of shake it down a little. Now, I'm going to set it aside, and you want to let it set at least 10 minutes, preferably 15 or 20. I really like to let it set about 30 minutes, but let it set at least 10 minutes. And you'll see everything start to work. You'll see little bubbles start to form all over the top of it. And it's about ready to go then. So we're just going to set it aside right now for about 30 minutes. Check back later. While my cake's setting for around for 30 minutes, I'm just going to go over here and take another look out one of the doors in the window. Mr. Buck might be out there. Whoop. Yeah, there's something up on the hill. Let me get off here and get my binoculars and check that out. It's a doe. I'll just bet you it's a buck, but it's a doe. Anyway, the cake is sitting for about 30 minutes. I'm going to deer hunt for the next 30 minutes or so. But let me say this. This, like I said, this is just the standard variation of Miss Sheila's cornbread cake. But it's so versatile. You can put a little bit, you can put a little bit more, a little bit less sugar if you really want it more or less sweet. You can substitute the pecans for walnuts or whatever. But you can really get creative. We also add cocoa to the mix. To the dry ingredients, we add cocoa. We add chocolate chips sometimes. One of the best things that Diane and I really like is we put about 1.5 cups of raisins and two tablespoons full of cinnamon. Oh my goodness, we call that our breakfast cake. That is super good. However, generally we make this thing at night, and by the time breakfast comes, we find that somebody's done eat 2 or 3 pieces of it. Not saying who, but it goes that way. You can put coconut in it. You can put ginger, make it taste like gingerbread maybe. You can put no icing on it like this one's going to have, be plain, no icing. You can also put an icing made with powdered sugar and melted butter with a little bit of vanilla in it. Have that icing warm and paint it on the warm cake, let it penetrate. That's super good. You can put any kind of icing you want. We often put chocolate icing on it. I even like to make up a chocolate pudding, which just like my mom made it. I went, oh, that is awesome. But you take that chocolate pudding, add a real thick coat of that to the top of this cornbread cake. Oh, that is good. And we also make up a cream cheese icing that we put on it. We often top all those various icings with we put pecans all over the top or walnuts all over the top. Just use your imagination. I mean, you can take that basic cake and make as many variations as your imagination can come up with, and they'll all be good. So right now, we'll wait 30 minutes. Diana's standing here. She's guarding it. She'll make sure that nobody gets it while it's rising. Okay?
Maybe.
You can tell she's an experienced cornbread cake eater because she's not going to let this get away from her. Now, if you look close, you'll see the little bubbles rising up. That means it's working pretty good. Boy, you got a good helper. When you look around and she's cleaning up your mess. But she knows the reward's going to be cornbread cake.
Clean up the mess.
Now we've got about, let's see. When I've got about 7 or 8 minutes left of time that I'm letting it just sit here and rise, I'll go ahead and turn my oven on to 350 and let it be heating up. I want it to be plumb up to heat when you put the cake in the oven. Okay, the stove is up to temperature, 350 degrees. Our cake now has bubbles all over it. So things are ready to grow. We'll put her in the stove now. Okay, the stove is up to temperature, 350 degrees. Our cake now has bubbles all over it. So things are ready to grow. We'll put her in the stove now. Okay, we got her in the stove. And we'll set the timer for 40 minutes. Whoops, that's 40 seconds. That ain't gonna work. 40 minutes. Now Miss Sheila has it for 35 minutes. And at 35 minutes, it's a little, I'll say, chewy. I like it kind of harder, drier, crispier, if you want to put it that way, around the edges. And still might be a little chewy in the middle, but that's just my taste. That's what I like. You do it any way you want. Miss Sheila says 35 minutes. I say 40. 38's a pretty good compromise. But anyway, this one's going for 40 because it's in my oven, okay? And I'm cooking it to suit myself. And that woman there, she'll eat anything put in front of her.
That's the truth.
Oh, and talk about something else that'll eat anything you put in front of it. That's our sticker dog right there. And that rascal, that's a mama's boy right there.
Looking for a treat.
Huh?
Looking for a treat.
Well, yeah, he's a treat dog. He says, I like treats.
I'm a good boy.
Anyway,
Sticker.
that's old Sticker.
No. Okay, sit. Oh, no. He's not supposed to be in the kitchen when we're cooking.
He cheats once in a while.
We're cooking.
Tell him we're cooking.
We're cooking. Sticker.
Dick, we're cooking.
Cooking. Sticker.
We're cooking. That ain't good enough. Get on that road.
Good.
That's a good boy. If you happen to notice that funny looking right foot, that's where he had a little problem. Last weekend I had to take him to the vet and they had to shave a big slice out of that right front leg and he looked plumb weird looking. If you think that leg looks something, you'll see his rear end where they shaved a patch about, yay big off of him because he had a anal gland problem. And he's got all that fur and they shave him down plain on his rear end. And then that cold air gets in. He spends a lot of time sitting. Okay, the timer is 40 minutes is up. Did you turn the stove off?
No.
Turn the stove off and real slowly open the door. Part way. Just let it sit there for a minute and let some of that heat out. You see that wonderfully delicious rascal down in there?
It's good. Looks wonderfully delicious.
Mm-hmm.
It looks wonderfully delicious.
Yep. We'll have to sample that here in a minute, most likely, yeah. Okay, go ahead and open the door a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Let heat out.
Take it out.
We'll get her out of there. The one thing that I have never figured out, and I've experimented with this thing a lot, why sometimes it sinks back in the metal a little bit. And when it does that, it's a little bit, if you like it like I like it, this dry edged, or if you like the more chewy, you got your choice. It's either way.
I like the edges.
But right now, that's the standard cake. And my golly, it's good. But you can make it, like I said, a gazillion variations on it. You can put chocolate chips, you can put cocoa in it, you can put coconut, ginger, raisins, cinnamon, banana. You can put bananas in it, a couple of bananas in it, and it makes, along with pecans, and it makes a wonderful banana, you might say banana bread. But anyway, you can put various icings on it. It's just a good basic something. It's awesome like it is. But you can doctor it up to suit yourself a little bit. That's good. You want to let it set a while, or you want to try a piece that hot?
I'm going to try a piece hot.
Well, go ahead then, girl.
Some coffee.
She don't have the patience that I have.
I'm picking on me, you don't want to lose it.
And we got it cut up into dollop sizes.
Well, there's a little piece.
Okay, I'm gonna get this corner
That's mine.
right here. No, you can have the other one. Oh my goodness. Oh, hot, hot, hot. Hot, 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 hot. Oh, boy. Wait a minute. It's hot. Woo. That's hot.
He's eating my corner.
Got four. Got four corners.
Back up a little bit.
That's incredibly delicious. It really is. This way it's sweet but not too sweet. It's just slight variation on Miss Sheila's cornbread cake from Cooking with Shotgun Red, which is a great YouTube channel you ought to subscribe to. They've got some good recipes.
Unfortunately, Shotgun passed away, but she still carries on. And they're just fun to watch, and their recipes are wonderful.
Mm-hmm. But Steve,
one day
Steve did pass away.
Yeah.
So.
One day we'll put on the Jello Delight.
Yeah. Anyway, you try the cornbread cake. I gotta go look for deer. I'm eating cornbread cake and deer hunting at the same time. Steve's sitting here waiting on a bite. I've seen, I hadn't even been out of the house. Well, went up my underwear to take a look at that buck. I hadn't been hunting. Hadn't been out of the house. I've seen more game today than I have the times that I've been out actually hunting.
It's the weekend.
I don't know what it is, but I've seen buck, doe, squirrels, fox squirrels crossing the fields, and turkeys. Seen a fair amount well. I have not actually been hunting, but I have made a good cake.
Well, I haven't had any yet. I haven't had any yet.
Okay. Go get some. Maybe it's cooled down, though it won't burn you. Still warm?
Yes.
Hmm?
Yes.
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 Good.
Now I need
Do what?
a cup of coffee. I'll
Cup
be
of coffee? Yeah. Well, we're going to sign off right now. We're going to go make us a cup of coffee. Get us another piece of this cornbread cake and sit down at the table and enjoy it.
Yes.
Y'all try this cake sometime. You're going to like it. Time to get back to doing a little deer hunting now.